I used to feel exactly what you do right now, and there's a real reason why you feel so lost, especially after finishing school. 3 years ago, I graduated high school, and honestly, I had no idea what I was doing. I kept the same habits I had as a teenager, wasting time, doing things that didn't help me grow, and telling myself it was normal. I was just an 18-year-old kid, thrown into the real world with no direction, but one moment changed everything. When I finished high school in November 2022, I thought I finally had real freedom. No more drama, no more comments of how skinny I was. It just felt like a fresh start. But that freedom slowly became something else. My routine slowly started to revolve around video games. I'd play from late morning until early afternoon, and then again from 10 p.m. to sometimes 3 a.m. It felt like the best period of my life. No responsibilities, late nights, friends online, and zero stress. Then uni started in February 2023, and suddenly I was back in a social environment. But this time, it actually felt different. Classes didn't take up my full day, the subjects were actually interesting, and I started to enjoy studying. I filled the rest of my time with gym, study, and more gaming. In my first year, I did 3 units each semester, which gave me a lot of more free time than usual. It just felt like I was living the dream life again. But I soon realized that this comfort doesn't last forever. By May 2023, my friends slowly started to stop playing video games, and I was the only one who wanted to play all the time. Without my friends online as much, my gaming routine started to fall apart, and I was just sitting in my room most of the time, feeling isolated and aimless. I remember one night clearly. I was sitting on my bed with music playing through my headphones, just staring at the wall, and it really hit me. Besides the gym, I wasn't moving forward in my life. I kept going to uni, hoping to find my first girlfriend, thinking that would actually give me value. I was stuck in the same cycle, just doing anything. One night, I broke down crying. I realized how much time I was wasting on things that were not shaping my future. My mum walked past my room and was shocked that I was crying. In that moment, I realized how much they've done for me and how less I've given back to them. That realization, that was rock bottom for me, but it was the beginning of something new. After that realization, nothing changed overnight, but for the first time, I actually tried. I was still fighting my bad habits, but I also began building small good ones. Learning how to trim my own beard, learning skincare, and eating cleaner made me slowly move away from video games. This was a turn I had been waiting for. Fast forward to September 2023, everything started to change. I was at my desk, took out a piece of paper and a pen, and wrote goals for the first time in my entire life. It was difficult at first to think of goals because I had no idea what to focus on. But I started to focus on the small things, such as passing my driving test and sleeping early. It finally felt like I had direction of what my life wanted to be. And every single time I achieved a goal, it made me feel fulfilled. The similar feeling that Fortnite or Call of Duty would give you when you leveled up. But this time, that fulfillment was permanent. During the rest of 2023, I was battling my old self a lot. One part of me wanted to continue playing video games, while the other knew my potential. The people around me were also playing, which made it a lot more difficult for me to quit. There were many times where I chose late night gaming over my sleep. Every single time I did that, it felt like my future self was slowly dying. Something needed to change. At the beginning of 2024, I went on a trip to New Zealand for my cousin's wedding. I managed to explore most of the South Island, and it was so scenic that I didn't even bother going on my phone much. I remember that was the period when my bad habits started to fade away. One of the major ones was deleting TikTok, as it made me scroll on my phone so much. And every time I chose to look at the mountains instead of my phone, it felt like my brain was getting rewired. If you told my 18-year-old self that I'd be confident, disciplined, and purpose-driven, he would be in disbelief. But that's exactly who I became. When I came home from that trip, my interest in video games disappeared. I stopped playing for 10 months, and during those 10 months, I focused on my personal growth. Focusing on my personal growth was one of the best decisions I've ever made. I was less reliant on people. I felt more independent than ever. I stopped chasing a woman's attention and just started to focus on my goals. I was so happy with my progress, but others, they kept telling me that I've changed. But that didn't matter, as I finally knew who I was and what I will give to this world. This was when I found my purpose. Purpose defines the way you behave and live your life. It provided me with structure and discipline to show up every day. Because of me finding this, I started to make better decisions for myself. I would say no to things that wouldn't align with the person I wanted to be. This was difficult at first because it felt so unnatural to say no to things, because I just wanted to make people happy. However, after a short while, it became much more natural and people started to respect my boundaries. I started to choose sleep over late night gaming, and it felt so refreshing as I was finally putting myself first over others. Today, I now sleep at 10:30 p.m. every single day and make sure that I'm focusing on my growth in every aspect of my life. I now feel proud of myself, more confident than ever, and have tons of self-belief that I couldn't care what people say about me. I choose purpose over pleasure any day of the week now. It doesn't feel right watching TV, playing games, wasting time, drinking, or staying up late because it doesn't align with the person I want to become. So, going back to my question, you are feeling lost after school because you haven't found your reason to live. However, it is not your fault, because school doesn't teach you this. To find your purpose, you'll have to sacrifice your bad habits so you have more free time to sit with yourself. Replace the phone scrolling with figuring out what you want out of life, rather than staying stuck in the same cycle I was in. Find your purpose and everything else will align with it. Your bad habits will be replaced with good habits, and slowly over time, your identity will start to change. You just have to be patient. Finding your purpose does not happen overnight. It starts small. Start with building one good habit, such as journaling, walking without your phone, or sleeping early like I did. Mastering one good habit is enough to change your whole identity. And remember, your purpose will not be easy to find. There will be days where you'll not make any progress, but at least you will know what type of person you don't want to be. If you are going to put effort into finding your purpose, don't forget to subscribe and like the video so more people in the world won't feel lost. I hope you learned a new perspective from my story, and I'll see you in the next one.